All right, we're going to bring in Michael, who's on the phone. And my producer tells me that he says he actually saw the shooter. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you please share with us what you saw?
We were directly across the street, just east of the Walker brothers. My wife is in a wheelchair, and I was there with my grandson, newborn, who was in a baby carriage with their mother-in-law. And when I first heard the shots, people started running and yelling, "Shooter," and I couldn't believe it. I just thought, this can't happen. So I stood up, and I saw this guy crouched down behind the stop sign and the lamppost in front of, it used to be Dave's Outdoor Store, right
Uncle
on the corner.
Dan's, yeah.
Uncle Dan's, thank you, Uncle Dan's. I'm just a little shook up by this. People started fleeing, and the first round was maybe 40 or 50 shots. He stopped and must have reloaded. I didn't see at that point. I realized this was real. I got everybody down as much as we could, as flat as we could. And immediately to the left of us, he started shooting again, and a woman went down, and she was dead. She was maybe 6 feet from us in a huge pool of blood. I think that's what spattered my wife. My wife has blood on her shirt. And there were maybe 7 or 8 people laying there who I don't think were killed, but they weren't moving much.
So to be clear,
they were flat.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but to be clear, you're saying the shooter was on the ground, because we've gotten other reports that person was potentially on the rooftop.
Okay. I saw this guy shooting. I saw where he was. I saw his eyes, and there is no question this was the only shooter, and he was on the ground. I don't know where they're getting this roof stuff. I don't know. Oh, and by the way, it must have taken the cops 5 full minutes, at least it felt like that, before anybody responded, and a bunch of them had just gone by on the parade. Why they didn't have anybody staked out on that parade, I have no idea.
Maybe questions for another day. For the moment, though, you saw, did it appear that he was acting alone? No accomplices?
Yes.
And in generic terms, can you describe his age, his makeup, etc.?
He was, I can tell you he was slim enough. If he was overweight, I could tell. He was not, and he was sort of athletic, because the crouch he was in was a true military crouch. I mean, you couldn't tell how tall he was because he was crouching. You know?
Did you happen to see what kind of weapon?
It was a rifle with a sight, and that was another thing that was obscuring his face from me. He was looking down that sight.
And his face was not camouflaged by any means.
I couldn't tell you that. Yeah. I couldn't. Yeah. You know,
his eyes were behind
in retrospect, I should have looked a little.
Time passes so quickly; it's really hard to.
Michael, it's amazing that you're calm enough to share this information, and we appreciate it. I just wonder if you had noticed, was this guy methodical, or was he angry and panicked? Was he emotional?
He was very military-style methodical. I mean, he was in this perfect military crouch, and he was shooting.
Just shooting up the sidewalk, up the street?
Oh no, he was shooting in our direction, and as I say, the people 6 feet from us were hit. I had something hit me, some piece of something or other. It didn't pierce my skin, but I felt it, and then I realized that this fire is a lot closer than I thought. So we really got down at that point.
And then how did you get out of there? You've got a newborn with you. You are pushing a wheelchair.
I saw him run down north, down the street, down 2nd Street, and of course he disappeared behind the building. But I knew he wasn't about to come back that way, and he was escaping to the north. And we were parked to the south, and so I knew we were safe going to the south. The only problem was the only ramp to get out of there was right past this dead body, and my mother-in-law, she's never going to forget this.
Of course not.
And you were saying she was in a wheelchair.
My wife is in a wheelchair.
Your wife is in a wheelchair.
My wife is in a wheelchair. I was pushing her.
And in those first moments after you realized what was happening, could you describe for us the scene of all of the folks who were kind of at the parade, probably almost as quickly as you realized there was a threat? What did people start doing?
Well, people were a lot smarter than me. They all were running past us because that was the best way of escape. And there was just a stream of them, and I was dumb enough to get up and look and see what was going on because I just couldn't believe it.
Michael, did you happen to see a big yellow bag? There's been some police talk of a shooter carrying a big yellow military-style bag.
No, I did not see that.
As we speak, you see
I did not see when he turned around and ran. I don't think he was carrying anything. I don't believe so. And boy, yellow, that would have been really stupid.
Sure.